David Brewster here with another 3 for All, and this is 3 Nick Johnston licks from 2019. And Nick Johnston's a Canadian guitarist that's been on the scene for about the last 10 years or so. And I've been following him for the last 5 or 6 years, so I was a little late to the party, but I'm here and I'm partying, with his music. But an exceptional guitarist, very expressive and emotive and lots of feel and energy in his music and his phrasing. And he can definitely dance and shred and melt your face off, but he does that sparingly. He just kind of distributes that type of playing, briefly in his music, and then he fills up the rest with this, really expressive phrasing. There's a lot of interplay between piano and guitar sometimes in his music, and I love that. It has this cinematic, uplifting, almost futuristic kind of quality. And I don't know, there's just something about his playing. Very, very inspiring, great tone, great feel, just very, very intelligent guitarist. I talk to a lot of guitarists, either in person or online, and I'm amazed, especially guitarists in America, when I'm talking to them and I mention Nick Johnston or Aaron Marshall from Intervals. They always look at me, or they'll respond and say, who? And it's almost like another Canadian invasion. Back in the day, there was a Canadian invasion. Groups like Rush and April Wine and Triumph and Bryan Adams. And then you can fast forward, even Protest the Hero, like a prog metal bands from Canada. So there's been an outpour of music from Canada for a long, long time. But over the last 10 years or so, I've noticed, Aaron Marshall with Intervals and Nick Johnston really sprouted up. And they've toured together, they've worked together. And they're both exceptional guitarists. So if you haven't really heard Aaron Marshall or Nick Johnston, lock on. There's some great music. And a lot of the people that I've kind of exposed their music to, or kind of turned them on to some of their albums, they've always come back and thanked me, like, dude, I had no idea this music existed, and it's great, and it really is phenomenal, great stuff. All right, the licks in this lesson came from a guitar clinic that Nick gave. I think it was in the former Czech Republic last year, and the footage is great. You can tell it's high quality, you can hear it, you can see it, very vivid. It's obviously a modern recording, unlike some of the grainy, bootlegs and VHS, some of the footage we've used in other episodes. This is very high quality. You can see and hear everything, which is great. And he's playing some of his music, and he's doing some Q&A with the crowd. He's talking about tone and phrasing and picking, and it's a great clinic. But the first lick is this dizzy, chromatic-based legato idea, and this is kind of a signature lick from Nick. And you can also catch, ideas like this coming from people like Arpeggio, of course, and there's a ton of other players too. But it's really interesting the way that Nick just does this really rapid, kind of erratic, chromatic-based legato playing. Something like this. And try that again. And there you can see he's doing this frantic, chromatic-based movement. So it starts with this half-step bend, and this is technically in the key of A minor. And he's starting on the ninth, this B, and bending that up to the minor third to C. But then that's where the dizzy chromatic idea comes in. So he's doing this, and then he's doing this really slowly. Really crafty. One more time. And I just like the way that your fingers and the notes are kind of blurring and overlapping, and it's just this crazy lick, but it sounds great. And the way he's coming down too is interesting. He's got that little string cross in there too. And he does it again right there on the G and the B. So that's tricky. And then I also love the ending where he's grabbing the flat nine, B flat, and he's bending that up to the ninth, which is B natural. And that's, I don't know, very expressive. And sneaking in those little half-step bends is something Nick does a lot in his music. But here's the footage from last year with Nick just flying through that. Right up next is this kind of bluesy, expressive, bending idea. He's added some chromatic notes in, and it ends on the flat 5, which is always cool. And it's over A7, and it's something like this. Fan of licks like this. It's really cool. So he's starting on this A and grabbing that E and then bending it up a whole step, and he kind of releases that bend and then bends it back up to a whole step again. Something like that. And right there, come down E, E flat, D, and then shift to C right there. Grab the D, bend it up a half step, and then release it and pick it again. C to A right there, and then grab E to E flat, and there's your flat 5. And he's also digging in with this pick. There's a lot of action and energy from the picking hand on that lick. And I just love phrases like that. Bluesy and expressive, but you've got some other things happening, and then of course the last note's the sinister flat 5, which really sets that lick off. Right up next is this wicked sequenced G minor 9 arpeggio idea, and he's also using kind of a slight palm mute with his picking hand, which it reminds me a little bit of Ronnie Latecro, from TNT. Just a little bit, but it's something like this. Do that again. And he's using that slight palm mute, which gives it a very different sound. So slowly, you can see we're actually starting with this G minor 9 arpeggio right here. And it's a weird, sequence of notes. And going back to that F at the end. And then you've got this. And that's still part of G minor, G minor 7 right there. There's your 5th, your flat 7, and the root. So right at the opening, it's very unusual, and I'm not using the palm muting right there. I'm just kind of playing it regular. So one more time there. Then you're going to shift up much higher and grab this. And there's your F, your D, and that B flat right there. And then you're going to hop over here and grab A and F sharp and go back to that B flat. And that's going to loosely imply a G minor major 9, which is really cool. So I like this little exchange happening here. Very different. And at the end, he really just stretches out and does this kind of wild, almost like a Van Halen kind of thing. So all the way through it really slowly. Something like that. It's just very erratic and very strange, but I love that lick. It's very unusual, and that's not normal, phrasing, but I think that's why I like it. All right, here's a bonus lick from this footage, and it's this faux kind of Malmsteen idea in C harmonic minor. And it's once again, very unusual the way it's phrased and the location. And it's C harmonic minor, but he starts it on the 9th on that D note right here. Really cool. Something like that. So right there, we're actually starting and going from, D to this E flat. And then we're kind of crossing over, G to that F. And then right here, it's G sharp, G natural, G sharp to B. So that's the weird little sequence, twist, I guess, in this phrase. And then go back and grab this B flat. And then And right there, when you grab this F, you're going to hike all the way up to B flat and then bend B flat up a half step to B natural. And that's going to bring out just a slight, harmonic minor flavor, because that's the, major 7, for C minor. So I love how he's bending, the major 7 into the major 7th, which is really unusual and so expressive, once again. And it has this kind of clunky, sequence of notes. It kind of feels like you're falling down the stairs, but you land on your feet. And that's an old Van Halen saying, but it definitely kind of reminds me of Yngwie, especially that last note. It definitely has that Malmsteen kind of vibe. All right, that's going to wrap this look at 3 Nick Johnston licks from 2019. And Nick's definitely a very exciting, dynamic, interesting, very intelligent musician. And, if you haven't really heard his music, I highly recommend. Dive in, go back and listen to some of his albums. You can find lots of footage of, performances and bootlegs and outtakes, and obviously this clinic that I found from the Czech Republic. But there's a lot, that he's done. And then also Aaron Marshall from Intervals. They've worked, and kind of toured together, and they know each other. I don't know if they're actually like, best friends, but they're definitely friends, and they've worked together. Aaron's also an exceptional guitarist. I'm going to feature him on this channel as well. And I would like to actually talk about their chords too, because Nick's, lead playing and his soloing and everything is very inspiring and very, musical and interesting. But then also behind the scenes, the chords, the progressions, the voicings that he uses are very, very top-notch and modern and very expressive too. So I think there's, a benefit to kind of zooming in and noticing, what he's doing on the guitar. And Aaron Marshall too. Aaron's an exceptional guitarist. So anyway, leave some feedback and some comments. Please subscribe to Lessons, and I'll be back before you know it with more content material. Thank you.